Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Mat Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
President Ronald Reagan often referred to America as that shining city on a hill. But he didn't invent that phrase. It goes back to the early founding of this country, but it even goes back further than that, even to the very words of Jesus. It is the very foundation of what we now call American exceptionalism. What is that about? What is the role of government, and why is America different than other governments? I am Mat Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining us is David Barton, the founder and president of WallBuilders. Welcome, David.
Hey, Matt. Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
David, the purpose and role of government. Ronald Reagan used this phrase, the shining city on a hill, but it goes back even further, and it goes all the way back to the time of Jesus, where Jesus speaks about the shining city on a hill, or the light on a hill can't be hid. This gave birth to the idea that America is different, that America is the shining beacon of hope around the world, and it gave birth to the idea that America is exceptional, it's different. What was it that made America exceptional in the eyes of the founders and in reality?
You actually just threw me a softball and didn't know it, because I'm right in the middle of doing a book on American exceptionalism. And as you look at American exceptionalism, what strikes me as really interesting today is how many people deny that it exists. And there's two areas where in the book I'll lay out just the greatest opposition to American exceptionalism comes from academia and it comes from media. And those are the two most liberal professions in the United States. The concentration of liberals in media is 6 times greater than the population in general. In academia, it's 10 times greater than the population in general. And liberals tend not to like God. They tend not to like America, quite frankly. They America bash. And yet, when you look statistically, there's no question America is an exceptional nation. We have had one form of government since 1789. Find anybody else, you're not going to do it. France has had 15 constitutions that period of time. Afghanistan's had 6 constitutions since 1923. Iraq's had 6 since 1924. Poland's had 7 since 1919. Russia's had 4 since 1918. I mean, go through the rest of the world, so our stability.
So America is the longest surviving
constitutional republic and the most stable nation in the world. We're a constitutional republic. We're the longest surviving constitutional republic, and we're the longest surviving nation under one form of government. I mean, just nobody else has come close. That's exceptional. That means we're different from the rest. That's an exception, not the rule. Same with prosperity. We have 4% of the population. We have 24% of the world's GDP. And it's not because we have greater natural resources. We don't. Asia, South America, you have all the other, Africa, they have greater natural resources than we do. We produce more. We also have 4% of the world's population. We produce more patents and more innovation than the other 194 nations combined. So I can go through the stats. We're exceptional. Now, why? It's not by accident. If you don't know why, you go to the Declaration of Independence. In 155 words, they gave 5 principles that caused us to be different from all other nations. The first principle is we say governmentally, not individually, we say there's a divine creator. Our document says that. That document was the assembled Congress in general. It was the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. They say, we believe there's a creator. That's not personal. That is a government document. Second thing we say is we believe the creator has fixed rights and wrongs. They call them the laws of nature, nature's God. That is natural law. I do not need the scriptures to know that abortion is wrong. There's no species in nature that kills its young in the womb. That's a violation of the laws of nature and nature's God. I don't need the scriptures to know that homosexuality is wrong. That's a violation of all natural law. And that's why the law books called it a crime against nature. It violates natural law. So we're told there is a set of fixed rights and wrongs that come from God. You also have the third part that says inalienable rights come from God. And the founders define an inalienable right as one that was given before government existed. In their writings, it's really cool. They go through Genesis 1 through 8. And in Genesis 1 through 8 is where you find all the inalienable rights. Genesis 9 is the first institution of government. Under Noah, you had the Noahide laws, 7 different categories of civil laws. Inalienable rights came before government. So they're not government granted, they're God granted. Then the fourth thing we say is that government exists to secure these rights, government should institute among men. That's what the Declaration says. The purpose of government is to make sure you have the right to practice Genesis 1 through 8 without government interference. So that is the right to self-defense. That is the right to life, including unborn life. That is the right to marriage, Genesis 1 through 3. That is the right to worship God according to the dictates of conscience. That is the right of association. You have the right to get together with others and form and create groups. All these rights that we have in the Bill of Rights and Declaration are Genesis 1 through 8 rights. And the fifth thing we're told is that we have the consent of the governed. But the consent of the governed only works after you established fixed rights and wrongs and after you established inalienable rights. The majority can't vote and say, hey, we're getting rid of liberty, or rape is not going to be a crime. Yes, it will. Rape's a crime in nature. I don't need the Bible to know rape's a crime. Rape does not occur in nature. So all of these things we call the common law in the Seventh Amendment of the Constitution, they go back to the laws of nature, nature's God. So American exceptionalism is built on 5 premises. We put that in the Declaration. We incorporated all those 5 in the Constitution. That's the philosophy that made us different from every other. And quite frankly, I use that word philosophy deliberately because there's a governing philosophy for every nation. It's like a fruit tree. You plant a seed, it grows a trunk, and it produces fruit. We have fruit that everybody likes. We have prosperity. We have stability. We have creativity. But if you change the seed on the tree, you'll get a different kind of fruit. You'll get oppression, you'll get tyranny, you'll get government control. The philosophy of government is what makes us unique, and that's in those 155 words in the Declaration.
There's certain unique inalienable rights. Obviously, the right to life is one of those rights. If you had a group of people, because we think a lot and we use the word democracy in a way that we probably don't understand.
That's right.
But if you had a group of people that said, we're going to put a constitutional amendment, we're going to, in that constitutional amendment, give the people the right, so-called, to vote for abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. Address that.
You couldn't do it under our form of government. And one of the cool things about the founders is not only did they lay it down in the charter, and one of the things that's happened in the last 40 to 50 years, I've watched this, as America's become more secular, we try to separate the Declaration from the Constitution because Declaration is full of values. And, Constitution's a godless document. Declaration has nothing. Yes, Declaration goes under the Constitution. Article 7 of the Constitution directly incorporates the Declaration. So you can't separate them. The organic laws of the United States, U.S. Code annotated, page 1, those two go together. The enabling act for all the states. If you're going to become a state in the United States, you had to agree to keep both documents. But as we become more secular, we try to forget the Declaration and look at the Constitution. You can't do that. They laid out the values in the Declaration. They then told you how those values operate in government in the Constitution, so they didn't have to repeat the values. But you go back to the inalienable right to life. And people say, well, they weren't talking about abortion. Yeah, they were. I've got a book on abortion in America from 1808. Founding fathers clearly talked about abortion. Thomas Jefferson included a ban on abortion in the laws of the state of Virginia. They dealt with this. James Wilson, very clearly, who wrote the first law school textbooks in America, he said, with consistency, beautiful and undeviating, human life, from its commencement to its close, is protected by the common law. He said, in the contemplations of law, life begins when the infant is first able to stir in the womb, and by the law that life is protected by the common law. Seventh Amendment of the Constitution. Seventh Amendment. We argue about abortion as being a Ninth Amendment, 14th Amendment deal. No, founders put it as a Seventh Amendment deal. It's part of the laws of nature and nature's God. So since we're required to be a Republican form of government by Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, we can't become a democracy. You don't get to vote on whether rape or arson or whether burglary or theft.
There's certain immutable
There's
laws.
certain things that you cannot vote on.
Even if the people were to vote en masse to say we want to have abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy, that is an inalienable right.
You
That's
can't
an
do that.
immutable
That's
characteristic.
right.
That's a mutable law. You can't change that any more than you could change the laws of gravity.
Well, I was going to say, you can't have a vote, or you can have a vote to change the laws of gravity, but it's a worthless vote because it doesn't change. And see, it's the same with the right to life. That is a law of nature, and it's a law of nature's God. I can go to nature and prove it, or I can go to Psalm 139, or I can go to Jeremiah 1:5, I can go to Luke 2. I can go to all these places to prove that whether it's the laws of nature's God or the laws of nature, that is a right that God gives. And what we always taught about government was point 4 of American exceptionalism. Government exists to protect inalienable rights. That's the purpose of government. So when government's doing its job, you'll never have a vote on that any more than you'll have a vote on things like rape or things like burglary or anything else, because those violate laws of nature and nature's God.
Well, our guest is David Barton, founder and president of WallBuilders. We have a lot of resources available for you. This book here is called The Patriot's Handbook on American Liberty, and it has the Constitution with a good index in it. Also, the Declaration of Independence, an essay from Patrick Henry, and also an article from me. We also have this book. It is one of my favorite books. I think it should be in every library. It's David Barton's book called Original Intent. It is, in my view, the most comprehensive book written on American history in terms of the founding era. It is completely documented and footnoted with original sources. And this is also a book from David Barton called Lives of the Signers of the Declaration of Independence, a fascinating book about those who actually signed the Declaration of Independence, our birth certificate that actually gives birth to this American exceptionalist idea, and also the New England Primer. All of these are available and much more at Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. That's lc.org. I also encourage you to visit David Barton's WallBuilders website as well for more information.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.